Hey, good morning, Facebook world, YouTube world. We're so glad that you are here this morning. It is the Tuesday after Memorial Day. I know many of you are probably like, oh, it's Tuesday. I had a wonderful day off.
Feels like Monday, right? It's the Tuesday that feels like a Monday here on the morning show. Monday morning show, we should do that. That would be even more bitter and sarcastic than what Rob normally is. So the morning show is just kind of our way, started during quarantine, to stay connected. And as a church family during the week, talk about some different topics that are helpful, some discipleship things, and also just kind of do it in a little bit more of a lighter and fun way. And so hopefully you've benefited from this. We know a lot of you are going back to work, and so things are changing. And so this is going to be we'll still be doing the live video, but there's going to be a podcast release soon. And so if you say, I don't have time to sit down and watch 30 minutes of this show, but maybe I've got to commute into Columbus.
Why not? Why don't you have 30 minutes?
Right. This should be a top priority.
This is part of your discipleship.
But yeah, maybe you're driving into Columbus and you can listen to the podcast and stay connected in that way. So we'll have details about that this week coming out online and on Facebook. Big change this week. Massive shift. You know, I mean, you could not get bigger news than this.
We need music for this.
Rob has given up coffee.
Oh, not given up. I am fasting.
There is a Starbucks mug, or not a mug, a Starbucks container.
This is positive thinking. I'm imagining this is coffee. So that's my propositional this.
So when's the last time you had a cup of coffee?
My brain's already foggy. I can't even think last time I had a cup of coffee. It would have been yesterday. Yeah.
So we're pushing 24 hours, no coffee?
We're at 24 hours. Yeah, Marcy and I began a new anti-inflammation diet thing, and so for the next 4 days, I am sans coffee.
So we need to check in with Rob on Thursday and see
if I'm alive.
If you're alive.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be walking by your office with freshly brewed coffee all day.
Thank you.
That's the plan.
Thank you for being my stumbling block.
If you can't find Excedrin migraine at the stores, it's because Rob bought all of it.
No, it's because your top drawer is like the Walgreens of the office.
Well, I mean,
I'm only 5 feet away from anything medical that I need.
Luckily, most of it is not over the counter. All right, what's our giveaway today?
Hey, so we are celebrating, the IMB they're celebrating their 175th anniversary this year. And so they're in the midst of a promotion for that. They're praying 175 days for the IMB. So they have put out this amazing photo book of 175 years worth of history of the IMB. It's a phenomenal book full of great pictures, wonderful stories of how God has moved through all the different missionaries. And then on top of that, we're also including one of their 30-day prayer guides for unreached people groups that you can use to pray for the lost. So in your
what do you got to do? Do you have a plan already? I was going to make the bar low.
All right, what's your low?
Just engage in some way. Like, comment, or share.
You can also include what's your favorite coffee drink, just to kind of
all right.
Get through the coffee faster.
Your favorite kind of coffee?
Yeah,
that'll be our fun. So let's say you can get in twice.
Yeah.
All right, you engage with the video, like, comment, or share on YouTube or Facebook. Obviously, you can't do all that on YouTube, but, that gets you in once. And if you write in your favorite kind of coffee in the comment section, you will get in twice to win this book. And we might have another Apostles' Creed copy somewhere we can throw in, too. Those things grow on trees around here.
Well, it's written by Al Mohler, who never sleeps.
Every time you go somewhere, they give you 3.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's like the new trading cards for pastors.
Good. So this is our giveaway for today. We're excited about that. So what's coming up on today's show?
On today's show, we are going to be interviewing Dr. Rich Holcomb, who is the Director of Missions for the Metro Columbus Baptist Association. He's a really good friend of our church family. We're going to hear about church planning, why Columbus is a Ascend City, so on and so forth. We're also going to have our table talk today. We're going to talk about the attitude of gratitude, how that's going to help us get through some of the bitterness.
Of not having coffee for 24 hours?
Yeah. So
you picked that in?
Yeah, that was actually picked before I realized I was going to be without coffee this morning. So, yeah, it's a good learning lesson for me this morning. And then also, we're going to kind of talk a little bit about the wisdom that graduating seniors have been given, and what's some of the wisdom we got. What wisdom would we impart on the graduating seniors as we are mostly past that time period? Reagan's still pretty fresh. This is a fresh graduation for Reagan.
Yeah, he just graduated.
So
college, but he just graduated.
I'd love to hear what his insight is that he would give. But yeah, so those are our table talks today. Plus the giveaway. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we're good.
All right. Well, we're going to show a quick video to kind of highlight our IMB partner and their anniversary, and then we'll go to the interview.
We all lead busy lives, but if we could just stop everything and take a bird's eye view, a little higher, there, now we can see the multitudes. We are fueled by a shared vision to bring the name of Christ to those who have yet to hear. So we move forward to extreme places, corners of the world that have no access to the gospel. We train missionaries, send them out together, and pray that God's grace be known. We help the hurting, comfort the dying, give hope to the displaced, and have seen thousands come to faith in Christ. We are able to do so much more together than if we were chasing this vision alone. This is our common effort. Together.
Alright, we should fix that. Can they hear us? Alright, well, we're getting the video worked out here, but we're should have it on here in just a second, I'm sure. But we're excited to have Dr. Rich with us this morning, director of the Metro Columbus Association. And so that oversees a lot of the churches in Central Ohio that are Southern Baptist, but then also has spread to even churches that are throughout the state. I think there may even be a church or two from Kentucky in the association as well. I'm sure you can give some details on that.
I saw that. I pulled up the map last night. I was doing a little retcon research, and yeah, that's interesting. I think there's one in West Virginia as well.
They must just be Blue Jacket fans or something.
Maybe that's the church planning strategy.
Oh, we got the video back up?
Convert to Blue Jacket fans, and then convert to Christ. Like it's the angle scale of Ohio discipleship. Like we move them through this process. Although we don't use the Columbus Crew, because that's on the other side, right? Like we don't.
I don't think anybody's ever watched the Columbus Crew. We're good? All right, there you go. I think he's on now.
Hey, can you hear us, Dr. Rich?
I sure can. How are you guys doing today?
Do you need to fix anything we just said?
All of it.
Well, I mean, it's 126 churches in our network. We have some in Southern Ohio. There's one in Kentucky we're talking to that'll end up being another network down there. It's an incredible church that reaches people in rural areas, a lot of them coming out of addiction. So we don't have any in West Virginia. I do have a few down along the river, Chillicothe. We did have one up in Michigan that we helped launch, and recently they've connected more with the Michigan area. So yeah, it's really going well, getting connected a lot of ways, and we're expanding that to a digital footprint so that we can have a lot more people into the association than just what live close to us.
So how long have you been heading up the association?
17 years at the end of April. Yeah.
Amen.
So we've added 76 churches in that time, then spun off a nonprofit, raised a lot of money to buy that building at 888, and raised money, had a separate board, hired a staff. I just handed that off in January to the new executive director, Kelly Carlich, who'd been with me about a year and a half.
And that's Stowe Mission Center, which a lot of our church people would be familiar with. I've been there, and
yay, Stowe.
So.
We actually brought on somebody from Stowe a few weeks ago.
Oh, good. Yeah, their lunches are up 40%.
Wow.
People needing food. And
wow.
Yeah. It's amazing.
So just for some of our family here who aren't familiar with Metro Columbus, can you kind of fix what we said about Metro Columbus and kind of give a brief overview of what you guys do?
Sure. So it's a network of churches, and we do three things. We resource churches, we network churches, and we plant churches. So resourcing looks like I help the pastor and the church leaders for the church to be more strategic, right? To follow the strategy of Jesus, because Jesus had a strategy. Jesus came to build an organization. At least that's what he said when he said, I will build my church, right? So he came with a purpose. But if he didn't have a mechanism, an organization to fulfill that, it wouldn't have happened like it did. And now it's the largest organization on the planet. So a lot of churches have the love of Jesus, but they lack the strategy of Jesus. So I help them do that. So how do you lead better? How do you become more effective? How do you reach more people? How do you disciple people? So a question I'll ask churches a lot of times is, so what is your church supposed to do? And they'll say, we'll make disciples. Okay. So how many did you make last year? We don't know. What are the 5 characteristics of a disciple? We don't know. So a lot of churches do a lot of good things, but for them to be impacting, they have to be clear on why they exist and what the plan is. And the plan includes who's responsible, what you're responsible for, what's the drop dead date. Then they have to work it, and then they have to reformulate strategically, and then they have an annual renewal thing. So I did that as a youth pastor. I did that as a pastor of maturity and ministry, and I've done that with the association. I did that with Stowe. Some of you, Rob, may have been there when I first became CEO of Stowe. First thing is, what is our mission? So through connecting with the key leaders, which didn't take very long, about 3 meetings, giving gospel hope and restoration to people facing hardships. That's it. That's all we do. So unless you have that kind of clarity, you really don't know what's in and what's out when it comes to programs or events or speakers, or do we do a block party? Do we do a sock giveaway? How do you determine that? There's really no rubric for that unless you're clear on the purpose that God has for you and your individual church. So I help pastors, staff leaders, key lay leaders do that. So that's the resourcing. So the networking, we have networking events. We've even done it on Zoom quite a bit during this time. We have 3 events a year that are networking events primarily, and then plant churches. As I said, we brought on 76 so far. We actually brought on one during the coronavirus here, and it's a former compadre for you guys, Ben Schwederman, up in Johnstown. So his joint church is now part of Metro Columbus Baptist Association.
Very good.
That became official here 3 weeks ago. So, yeah, so resource churches, network churches, plant churches, that's what the association does.
So speaking of some of the adaptation you guys have had to, you've noticed, so the Zoom, the digital kind of connecting things, what have you seen kind of affect the area churches in our association?
So all of them I've talked to a lot of guys, have upped their games technologically, right? They've taken it to higher levels out of necessity, and I hope they'll keep it. Most of them I've talked to can't plan to continue to do live streaming of the worship services and connect. We were just kind of talking about that before. How do you connect digitally with people and not just in person, and not try to pretend like it's the same as in person, right? It's different. So how do you do that? But it really upped their games a lot. And the other thing, as this group of guys I was meeting with, pastors, they said, so this time has been a hard reset, right? So things have shut down, basically. I mean, you still do online, still relationship. So my plea to them is, before you crank it back up, don't crank up things that should have already been let go. So in most churches, there's an area of ministry that's struggling. It's not doing well. You can't find leaders. This may be the time to just let that thing go, right? Because it wasn't effective in the pre-COVID world. It'll probably be less effective in the post-COVID world. And you're putting time and energy around something that you probably don't need to.
Yeah.
So,
it's not
but unless you're clear on what your purpose is, you don't know what's in and out. So a lot of churches have things going on that really should have been let go, but they let them continue because so-and-so does it and he has a good heart or she has a good heart, but it's absorbing time and energy around something that's not strongly contributing to why we exist as a church. So it's been a hard reset, and it's a great opportunity to make those adjustments that honestly should be made all along the way. Effective churches are always making those adjustments. They're always starting things, always ending things, transitioning things, moving leaders in, moving leaders out, creating new ministries, training new leaders for their life groups or their Sunday school. That should be a constant, ongoing process. So during this time, during the hard reset, it's a chance to focus on some of those things that are the fundamentals of leading a church.
Oh, that's good. So, I mean, as you've been talking to different churches and church leaders, what do you think? What do you think you've seen God doing during this time? I mean, what are some of the things that, you know, maybe God is using this for the furtherance of the gospel, for the furtherance of building the church? Obviously, you talked about a little bit about the resetting, but what are some of the other things that we may look back from 5 years from now and say, you know, God really used this time of quarantine and the pandemic to do these kind of things within our churches in our area?
Mm-hmm. I think the main thing is leaders' individual surrender to God. I think too often leaders rely on what they know and honestly just kind of float from week to week. This has created a desperation and a dependence because they didn't know what to do. So that kind of thing should be instilled in a leader's life every day of their lives. One thing I say often is, if you're not doing something that will fail if God does not intervene, you're probably not where you need to be. So same old, I just show up, preach, lead worship, you know, shake hands with people, hug them, and go home. That's not what the kingdom of God is about. Jesus was never doing that kind of thing, right? It was always with a direction, a sense of urgency, a sense of purpose. So it's been really hopefully a clarification for all leaders that I can't just, pray and kind of do my thing and hope change will come. I think also, hopefully, this isn't something I see, but something I'm hoping I will see. So often leaders think if I preach the word and I pray and I share the gospel and we do missions and we have, some kind of discipleship, we're doing what we need to do. That's not the case. So you need to do those things, but you also need to lead an organization, which requires an additional set of skills. And that's why in the Bible, the 3 terms used for the office of pastor, one of those is overseer, which is a word that means supervisor, right? It's a leader. You need to lead an organization. So it needs to be alignment with that mission of the church. And that means you got to pull some things in and push some things out. So hopefully looking back, it will be a hard reset even for the leaders that I can't just do these certain things and then wait for something to happen, that I as a leader am the one called upon to make those things happen. Under God, of course. I mean, so there are things only God can do, but he's not going to do what a leader's supposed to be doing. Recruiting people, training people, discipling people, holding people accountable, moving people into ministry, shutting down ministries, cranking up new ministries. God's not going to do those things. That's on the leader. Yeah, while he is praying and sharing the gospel and doing missions and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, I think churches are very, very good at maintaining. We're good at just kind of continuing to do the same thing. And a lot of times, I think for churches and people that are in leadership within the church, there's always that fear of, well, if I do X, I'm potentially risking what I have. And it's sort of like, we're always afraid of, I don't want to lose what I've got. I don't want, but that's just part of it. I mean, there's always a risk involved in following God and pushing forward. And so we've got to be willing to get a little bit uncomfortable and to be willing to take some risks there for sure.
Yeah, there is that fear. Well, where does that fear come from?
Right. Yeah.
Not from God. God has not given us a spirit of fear. So if we're leaning into fear, we're letting Satan rule our lives rather than God rule our lives. And sometimes we masquerade that under some sort of spiritual canopy.
Right.
That's not it,
Yeah,
and you guys know that.
Oh, that's good. So how has the church planting been affected by all of this? I mean, I can imagine it's been tough enough for established churches, but if you were just planting or planning on planting this year, how can we be praying for our planters? How has that really been affected?
So in a similar way to existing churches, COVID hit, we can't meet, what are we going to do? So a lot have figured that out, but you already have a built-in group of people, a congregation that is already connected with you. And so as you go online, it's already there. Well, church plants don't have that, right? They don't have that regular connection with people. So it has definitely slowed it down, the progress. How are you going to launch? You're going to launch digitally? Are they going to watch you or 15,000 other churches that are online now, right?
Right.
So it's really slowed it down from two perspectives. One, from the sponsor churches, because they're not thinking about church planting now. They're thinking about how can we up our game with our church and our outreach in our local community.
Right.
But then from the church planters perspective, you know, you're not going to launch a digital church and be successful because who's going to watch you, right? You don't have those relationships built in. So it's slowed down on both aspects. So as we come out of this, I mean, there are 3 or 4 or 5 guys, 6, maybe 7, I don't know. I'm always talking to about that. So the assembling people part, the sponsor church helping them part, all that had slowed it down. But like there's another guy I'm talking to now who's looking for a church sponsor, and I mean, it's still ongoing, but it's definitely slowed it down.
Affected, yeah. So before we move kind of over to our random question segment, what are some ways that our church family can be praying for the association?
Yeah. So we're looking for another building. So Stowe Mission, as you may remember, so we sold our existing office building. It was like a renovated house, and used the money to help move in there at Stowe Mission.
Right.
And we raised money to build that out. So Stowe Mission has about the whole building now, except for my office and Christine, who helps me. So we're looking for another
By
building.
the way, I'm going to interrupt you. I love your office because you have like a whole dry erase board is all the way around, like just one massive dry erase board. I remember that.
Yeah, so we have some retired Finnish carpenters out of Reynoldsburg Baptist Church. They call themselves the God Squad. So those guys painted those walls with that whiteboard paint, and then they trimmed it out and door trim. It looks like it was built for it, right? But it's just put that on sheetrock.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. It was really, I love that.
I'm sorry, so you were saying prayer for a new building.
Yeah, so we also have a lot of language churches that really don't have a place to meet, so they're meeting in an apartment. So what I would like to do is have a church building that could seat at least 125 people or so. So on a weekend, we could have 3 or 4 or 5 language churches having their worship services there. We could have our associational offices there, which basically is just Christine and me. And then we could have office space for some of our church planters there. And then also set up a video room. So one thing the association did, we brought on a part-time videographer. So to have a video room where our pastors could go to that place and shoot video. And his name's Dan, does an incredible job already. We hired him just before the virus hit, so we've been working on a lot of stuff that you'll see coming out in the weeks to come. Some personal cohort videos. We have a ministry impact model that helps you determine should we even do this event that we're thinking about, and if so, why. And he can also go to churches and shoot video. But to have a building where they can meet, have offices during the week for pastors, church planters, have a video room where pastors, many of our churches and our association can go there. So we're looking for a building. I'd rather it be at an economical price, right? So a central part of town. So I've been praying and thinking and talking a lot about that, just to different people what different options might be. So that's kind of our, one of our key initiatives. I mean, physically, that's our key initiative. I mean, relationally, there's a personal cohort I'm doing. So if you could pray for that, we've had a great response. I've taken about 10 groups through that. Organizational cohort, Pastor Dave's going to be part of the next one. The first one's experimental. I don't tell the guys that, but I got 3 guys that are going through that to get it, where I need to be. And then I'm doing a strategy of Jesus where I walk with a church and their leaders. I have 3 churches doing it, and then a 4th church signed up for October, where we look at all those things I was talking about. So so is our church following the strategy of Jesus? It should be, right? Jesus did it for a reason. And the effective churches are doing that. I've been on staff at some of those. Now, they don't call it that, but it has all those pieces to it. So strategy of Jesus process puts it together. So if you just look at what Jesus did in Matthew 16, that shows you his strategy. So strategy is a framework for how a church needs to operate to be most effective. Jesus had that. He operated that way. So it's really been helpful to the churches that have engaged that. So pray for new building,
Yes, sir.
personal cohort, organizational cohort, strategy of Jesus.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, so we are going to do a complete waste of time in the next 60 seconds. Are you ready, sir, for 5 completely random questions in our Fast 5 segment?
I am ready.
All right, here we go. Reagan, are we ready? Reagan's giving us a slow head nod. Dude, you don't even drink coffee. Like, you should be more animated than I am. Okay, cool.
All right, that's good.
All right, here we go, sir. Your first question. Which fictional character do you most identify with?
Incredible Hulk.
Wow, that was quick.
That's...
Jeez.
Hold on.
I dressed up. So
Why?
In high school we had Spirit Week, homecoming week. So we had Hero Day. I dressed up like the Incredible Hulk.
Okay.
I got green eyeshadow, put it all over my body, and tore up a shirt, and went around all day going, oh, oh.
Do we have pictures of this?
We need,
we need
gotta be.
photographic
And then in the
proof.
Bible, Romans 12, it says, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That
Right.
word transformed is the same as it is the word metamorphosis,
Right.
which was the word at the beginning of Incredible Hulk, where Dr. David Banner is taking the tire,
Doesn't the Bible also
through
talk
the lug
about
nuts.
not giving into
hits his
anger?
thing,
as
and
well?
says, what was that?
Doesn't the Bible talk about not giving into anger as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it says, as Dr. David Banner undergoes a metamorphosis. So we need to be as different from the world as Lou Ferrigno was from Bill Bixby.
Wow.
That's
That's good. I might use that Sunday. I don't
That's
know
a nice
how,
pastor
you know?
segment. Question
good.
number 2. Name an invention that you wish existed.
Wow.
Time travel.
Where would you travel to?
Yeah, forward or back?
You can't go forward. You can
I
only
would
back.
go to all kinds of places, like
Okay.
ancient China. I would go there. I'm very interested in languages and food, so kind of seeing how languages developed, because your language determines how you think. So when you go on mission trips, as Rob has,
Right,
and they've
yeah.
had a lot of different countries,
You get the
people
world
think
view part,
differently, and it's because they use language differently, right? So just to kind of see how that developed. So if I could pop in like every 50 years to a certain society and see, right?
Wow.
And then how the gospel has been incorporated there over those years with the language. And I
I'm
find that
so glad you're
fascinating.
redeeming the time of this random segment. Thank you very
Yeah.
much, Dr. Rich.
Sorry. Yeah.
Question number 3. What is the best board game of all time?
Monopoly.
Wrong.
I like Monopoly.
Forces you to think like an entrepreneur.
Yeah, Chad's going to say Settlers of Catan. Is that where you're going? Or Ticket to Ride? Yeah.
I mean, Monopoly's the classic, though. I mean, it's always...
Mhm.
I like the trade aspect of Monopoly. You don't get that in a lot of games, so there's a little
Right.
bit more...
Yeah.
You
So
still fight
another
over
thing
who's
that I
banker.
say is all pastors should be spiritual entrepreneurs. So that Monopoly game helps you think like that. Not
So we need to
just-
charge people for their seats on Sunday morning? Is that how we do that?
there are more ways to do church than a lot of us. One of the great things about the best job in the world, which is the one I have, by the way, Director Missions, you see all different expressions of the body of Christ, and they are wildly different.
That's
They
true.
all, believe the Bible. They all focus on Jesus, but their expression of that in their community. When I'm with our brothers from Ghana, they speak Twi, and incredible, and from Kenya, and from Laos, and from Japan, and from Central Ohio, Bhutan, and it's all the gospel. So to get out of thinking, here's what we do as a church, right? Jesus didn't think that way, and that's not the way it works in all these different cultures, even cultures within the same kind of people group. So that entrepreneurial mindset, fascinating. So Monopoly gives you that, helps you with that.
Very good.
You were making, I'm really impressed, sir. Thank you. 2 more questions. Question number 4. What is your go-to meal to impress your wife with your cooking skills?
Smoked salmon on my smoker.
Wow. Wow.
We did it yesterday.
Wow.
Do you do the cedar planks too, or is that
No.
without? No.
I will humbly say it's the best salmon you will have ever eaten.
That is very humble.
So
good, sir.
I probably need to invite myself over. I feel like
Yes.
I need to find a way to do that.
Well, you're part of the cohort. You're the upcoming cohort. Like that should be the first
Yeah.
meeting.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Now that the weather's okay, yeah. Yeah, so it's not grilled, right? Grilled dries it out. So there's a whole process you go through, and then you smoke it. It's really good. So when we go out to eat, we don't go out to eat a lot. When we do, Tina usually gets salmon somewhere, and it's never as good as what I do on the smoker. So
All right.
that's my, yeah.
All right, last question, sir. What is a movie that you hate that other people love?
What is a movie I hate? I'd have a hard time saying I hate any movie.
Okay, strongly dislike.
Maybe you think it's mediocre, and
Yeah, that's
everyone
fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
thinks it's
Yeah,
amazing.
so I don't know if everybody loves it or not. So on Netflix, I'll pull up, like, last night was William the Conqueror.
Okay.
So I probably sat there. It was probably on for 45 minutes in the background, and I looked at it maybe 3 times. I'm, looking at my Facebook or reading a book. It's just, I don't know.
That's
So
fair.
there are a lot of those kind of things. I'll click it on and then watch 3 minutes of it. So on that thing on Netflix, it says wherever it shows you the ones that you kind of started but didn't finish.
Right.
I got a gazillion of them. Right? Just,
So if they
I'll
don't,
turn it
they're not
on,
holding your
go
attention.
fix
it's
something, or
yeah.
go work in the garage. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Rich, for coming on the morning show this morning.
Well, thank you. Enjoyed it a lot.
We're going to pray for you before we let you go, sir.
Great.
And then, yeah. All right, sir. So I'm going to pray for you. Heavenly Father, thank you for this time that we can come together and celebrate the kingdom expansion work that you're doing in Central Ohio. Thank you, Father, for giving us Dr. Rich and his leadership and just his vision. Father, thank you that churches are continuing to thrive during this time period, that the church is not going to be hindered by this, Father, that your kingdom will still expand. We thank you for churches joining. We thank you for churches that are still being planted and moving and growing. God, we just pray for the things that Dr. Rich has mentioned as far as getting this new building so that more language-based churches can be growing and thriving here in Central Ohio. We thank you that you are sending so many of the nations to Central Ohio. Thank you for this opportunity to minister to them. And God, we just pray a special blessing over the entire staff at Metro Columbus Baptist Association this morning. We pray all this in your name, Jesus. Amen.
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 Great. You guys
Thanks
have time for
coming on, sir.
one bonus tip?
Sure.
The greatest snack in the world:
Uh-oh.
nacho cheese, Doritos, and French onion dip.
Nacho cheese, Doritos, and French onion dip.
The greatest snack on the face of
Hold on.
planet Earth.
Sounds very healthy too, by the way.
Dr. Rich, are you from Central Ohio?
No, I was born in D.C., raised in Southern Ohio, lived in Texas quite a while, lived in
Okay.
Kentucky.
Now that makes better sense now. Just checking.
Yeah. Write that down. I mean, you can take that to the bank. Nacho cheese, Doritos, French onion dip.
I am totally trying that.
We might try that
Yes,
next
Chad,
show.
excited.
That's like
Yeah.
2 of my
Yeah.
favorite
Right.
things.
I'm a compartmentalist in my food, so I have a hard time mixing things that
No.
are not natural.
Try it, Dave. You'll never go back. It will change.
Not
It will change your
natural.
life. Yeah.
There are
I do
unnatural
appre-
things in my play. Okay.
And I appreciate First Baptist Heath so much and their participation in the gospel through our network of churches. You guys have sponsored umpteen churches, a lot of language churches. You're the first one, Stowe Church. You're the original sponsor for that. So you have a lot of influence, a lot of impact in Central Ohio through missions, local missions. So a huge thank you to Pastor Dave and Pastor Rob and staff and the church out there. Appreciate you guys a lot.
Oh, thank you. We will. Thanks for joining us, and I'm sure we'll talk soon.
All right. Sounds good.
See you later, sir.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
All right, we're back on here. Before we go to our whatever we're doing.
Yeah, so we were going to watch a quick video talking about Columbus. And
Okay,
why
before
it's
we
a
do that
major
though, I
center.
need to know, why can't you travel into the future?
Okay, so
Because I've seen Back to the Future 2, right? And Back to the Future 2.
because clearly
Go
that's
to
our
what,
physics.
2020?
Didn't,
they have
no,
a
they went to
DeLorean.
20. Was it 2020?
Chad, what year did they go to?
Yeah, they went to 2020. That's right, because that's why we're all talking about now. So the idea is that the past has been written, and so you can travel because it's an established timeline, so you can travel back to that. But the future has not been established. There's too many different, in the particle physics of differentiation of different multiple things, whatever. you can't travel on that one because there's so much that's unknown. Now, that's obviously a very atheistic perspective because, Christ, God knows everything, and so everything's already like preordained, Romans.
Yeah, so I mean, God exists outside of time, right?
Right.
Time is a creation of God. And God, you could argue, God sees time holistically, not linear.
Right. So he sees it as like an orb.
So wouldn't future...
Yeah, but would God allow us to do that?
This is like the table talk. Did you see the day there was an article, CNN or somebody? I mean, I don't know who it was. But there's some kind of particles on the North Pole. Some way things are falling at the North Pole or something, and they said it gives evidence of a parallel universe.
I have heard the parallel universe part, yeah. That's why you should always name your cat Schrodinger. By the way. Schrodinger? This is like a great biology. So there is this particle physicist about you can have, when you shoot photons, and I'm going to butcher this, so any of you science guys out there, Reagan's already shaking his head. Like in a closed box, you put a cat in there, and then particles can go one way or the other way, but until you actually open the box, you don't know if the cat's dead or alive because particles go this way or that way. And so for some moment, like they're both dead and the cat's dead and alive at the same time. I like this because I don't like cats. And the guy who came up with this thought experiment was Schrodinger, and so that's like the funny thing is you call your cat Schrodinger.
All right, so you learned this morning on the morning show, you can travel backwards in time, but not forward.
That's according to me. That's who knows nothing. I'm a philosophy major.
According to
what do
you.
I know? I know how to make coffee. That's my...
Well, I mean, that's the philosophy major. All right, we got a video. Well, the giveaway. So like, comment, or share. Have a chance to win our giveaway from the International Mission Board today. And awesome missions, sort of a coffee book kind of a thing there. Some other stuff thrown in as well. You can like, comment, or share to get a chance to win it. And if you'd like to get a second entry, if you'd like to get entered more, please comment in the comment section your favorite kind of coffee. How do you like your coffee? And with that, we've got another short promo video we're going to show here before we jump into some other discussions this morning.
We are all American. Yeah. We're typical, ordinary, average. As a matter of fact, we're so normal, we're special. As most any researcher or big business, if you want to know what America thinks or wants, you come to Columbus, Ohio. We're closer to the average U.S. demographic than any other major city in the nation. So no matter how you look at us, race, income, even spirituality, we are all American. That's why it might not be surprising that people everywhere know who we are. With The Ohio State University, we have the second largest on-campus community in the world. And with immigrant communities like our 80,000 Nepalis and 40,000 Somalis, our influence reaches way past our city limits. There are more than 2 million of us, and only 1 out of every 10 is a believer. With so few of us around, you might think the gospel is pretty much invisible in Columbus. Don't believe it. Right here in what we call the most all-American city on earth, our neighbors are hearing the gospel for the first time. And we're starting more new churches than we ever have, but we want more. That's where you come in. With us working together, there's no limit to what God can do here. Partner with us. Help us start new churches and share the gospel with many people. And together, we can raise the bar for what all American really means.
So we're back. You don't need to adjust your television screen. That is Pastor Chad sitting next to me, not Pastor Dave. And you've started a new experiment, I see.
Well, I just added, I added some, oh, that's way off, isn't it? I added a little camera here for Instagram so that this next section as we speak to high school kids, you know, they actually see it.
Yeah,
so they're not on Facebook.
Apparently Chad's theory was we're about to talk about graduating seniors and the wisdom we received. Did it work? Was it helpful? What would we impart? And so his theory was that if any of that age range is going to hear this or see this, it has to be on Instagram.
Right.
But that's assuming that young people want to see a bunch of old white guys talk to them through Instagram. Like that's.
I mean, we're gonna find out, aren't we?
This is the experiment of Tuesday. This is
Yes.
fun. Okay.
Here we go.
All right. So let's. How long ago when you graduated high school?
2002.
2002. So 18 years. You've had to mull over the wisdom that was given to you on your graduating ceremony. What were the highlights? Do you remember any of it?
Nope.
Yeah, me too.
It was hot.
Okay, so you had an outdoor one.
It was outdoor.
Okay.
It was at our high school's football stadium because it could seat like 6,000 people or something crazy like that. So nobody had to get tickets. You could just come.
That's impressive.
But it was stinging hot. Yeah.
So I remember I'm graduated of 2000. Yay, millennial crew. We did ours indoor in our civic center, but because we moved around a lot in high school, like I didn't know anybody in my graduating class, and I ended up sitting honestly between the two most popular people in high school, and then we had to like sing our class song, which I didn't even know we had a school song or whatever. And so I'm like arm in arm with two most popular people, and they're like, "Who's this kid?" So that was the highlight of my graduating ceremony.
So how many people did you graduate with?
There's like 200, I think, maybe 3.
See, what made it worse was there was like 650 in my graduating class.
650. There's that many people in Altoona, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
That's impressive.
Well, there was then anyway.
Because you left. You were
I
the
left,
Moses that led them out of Altoona.
Yes. No. Actually, a lot of the kids that I graduated high school with are still in Altoona. So
Eating their Marlowe cups.
eating their Mallow cups and getting their cars filled up at Sheets.
There's an ongoing joke. Sheets would be another great one to go with, but Chad has trained me that the best things come from Altoona, Pennsylvania. Like, it is a legitimate, like, tee up, deliver thing between the two of us. So I'm poking a little bit. But.
Yeah.
So back to our topic of graduating seniors. So we've clearly established that whatever commencement speaker was given to us didn't really matter for the rest of our lives. However, and we love you, any commencement speaker, if you were going to give the piece of advice to the graduating class of 2020, what would you give them?
You know, I think there's a couple things, especially, if I'm going to, I guess if I'm speaking to graduating seniors that claim Christ,
Okay.
I
So
would
we're separating
encourage,
the sheep from the goats.
yes,
Okay. To the sheep you're giving.
I would encourage them to make their faith their own. I think the danger for a lot of kids who accept Christ before, while they're in their parents' home, the danger is that church is just something that their family does, and they've not taken the time to make their faith their faith.
Okay.
It's kind of like their family or their parents' faith plus theirs, and so
God doesn't have grandchildren.
right.
Yeah.
So for those kids that claim Christ, I would definitely say this is the time to make your faith your own, to engage with the church body, to engage with the Scripture, and really solidify that in your own mind.
And for the goats?
Well, for the goats and the sheep, I would say life is a vapor.
I so was hoping you were going to say box of chocolates, but
No.
you went vapor. Okay.
No.
So you're going to Ecclesiastes.
Yeah. Things go by so quickly. And I think at the stage, like high school stage, you just want to move on to the next part. It's like, oh, I can't wait till I graduate.
Oh, that's true.
I can't wait till I get to
you're
college.
Forward. You're not very much in the moment.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And just, set in that. Reagan's playing my voice back to me. I can't think.
So what happens when we hear your voice too?
Yeah, exactly. No, I would just say, live, without the promise of tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree. I think I think that's the one piece of advice that I wish I had paid attention to when I was that age is I think about, I got to get to this point and this point and that point. Like, okay, I just graduated high school, now I got to get to college. You're in college, I got to get to the job. And so you're always looking at the next thing, which is great because you're maintaining motivation, but you realize all these wonderful things that you had in the moment because you're always looking over the shoulder of what's in front of you. Yeah, I think, I would say also, and you kind of touched on this, like maybe understand the freedom you have, right? Like you have so many opportunities ahead of you, and it's okay. Like you're gonna make mistakes, and
Absolutely.
Christ's grace. This is what happens with no
Coffee.
Christ's grace is sufficient to get you through these mistakes. And sometimes even through some of these mistakes, it's God disciplining you and sharpening you. And so treasure that as you walk through and stumble. You're going to get through it. And celebrate it. And celebrate the people that are around you. Don't look over their shoulders for the next thing. The people that God has given you is amazing. Use them. They're a part of your team to get you where God is pulling you to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just on that whole like next stage, and realizing that life is short. Like, so I have a girl that graduated with me that I think maybe 2 years ago, 2 years ago, was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and she's been fighting it, and she's only 36, and I don't know what will happen in her story, but when I think about somebody that I graduated with, potentially not making it to the age of 40, it's a little scary. Well, and I mean, yesterday was Memorial Day. I have another guy from high school that was a Marine in Afghanistan and lost his life. So, I mean, you really don't know. You don't have tomorrow. You're not guaranteed tomorrow. So, you're going to stick around for our next table talk, correct? I think so.
First off, any for you guys on the other side of the camera, any wisdom here, Pastor Reagan?
Yeah, sure. One thing that you kind of touched on was like valuing relationships. The people who are around you right now. I mean, if you go to college or something, might not be there in 5 years, or you might move or something. Like I grew up in Erie, and I'm not there anymore. So all my friends and a lot of my family is there. And, I don't see on a day-to-day basis anymore. Value the people around you, like you were saying, is a good one. Another one is setting goals and doing everything to reach those goals. College is only a couple years. It doesn't last that long, and it's really hard. Yeah, it's really hard, but don't quit. Keep going and trust God to lead you through it.
Pastor Dave's just giving a thumbs up. He was just ready to be done with everything.
He's watching whatever movie Rich said was bad. He's trying to figure that out. Netflix.
All right, so next table talk thing we're going to talk about, and I actually had this issue yesterday with Joel. He was visiting with some friends, and he was really seriously upset that he didn't get to finish watching this Lego movie, and got to use a little bit of a practical application of like, dude, instead of being so upset about what you didn't get to finish, like, what did you get to do with your friend yesterday? And he's like, oh. And no, I take that back. It wasn't a parenting one. He was like, I still didn't get it. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. But it does kind of spark this table discussion for us about having an attitude of gratitude. How does being more, having more gratitude, about being more thankful, affect our discipleship? Like, how does it help us?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting that you brought up your kids, because this is one of the areas that we've struggled with too. One of our kids, the oldest, is never satisfied. Like, he's there's we just got a hockey net, right? Whoa. He loves hockey. and wants to play hockey and all this stuff. So he gets the hockey net and can't wait to get outside to do it. Well, he gets outside with the hockey net, and then something else isn't right, and then something else isn't right, and then Kai wants to play, and then that's goofs everything up. And, it's like, dude, are you at what point is this, like, at what point are you going to be happy about where you're at? And so we're constantly having this conversation at our house, and I'm not thankful that we have to. Just kidding. No, it's tough. I mean, it's a tough thing to teach kids, especially. But even as adults, I think we do the same things. We just don't recognize it. I mean, everybody that knows me knows that I'm like the tech. Like I like the new things.
You're the Apple fanboy.
Yeah, but I'm it's hard for me to take a step back and go, okay, I don't need the newest iPhone right now.
Did you the
be thankful
the
for
Mac computer, the thing that has the $40,000 whales? Did you
Oh.
did you look at that for a moment? Like, did you consider it?
I have gotten on Apple's website and built the most expensive computer that I could. Because you can go in there and you can, before you hit buy, you can do whatever.
Sure,
and I've built it and I've thought, man, that would be fun.
Yeah.
But like, no. I need a car. I don't need a Mac Pro Tower.
I'm curious, what was the price point on that? Like,
I
dream?
don't even remember. 35,000.
So legitimately, like the price of a car.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, if you stack, well, that was at the time. I don't know what it is now, but stack up all the pieces. I don't know, but yeah, I mean the concept of being thankful with where you're at, where God has you, what God's given you, that's hard to grapple.
It's hard. I think I got a buddy in seminary who would talk to me about the whole grass is greener principle, which ties into this whole being thankful and having gratitude. I'm trying to find like the noun, verb, or
Thankfulness.
Thankfulness. I'm just gonna convert to thankfulness.
Gratitude.
Need caffeine. So, he mentioned this point about like when people look over the fence at the other side and they're like, why it's so alluring is because it's the 10% that you're currently not getting right now, right? And so what happens is people jump over that fence to go after that thing that they want now. And that's when they've realized they've stumbled. They've just given up the 90% that they had before. And I think that's why having gratitude is so powerful, because you recognize what you have. You recognize what God has given you. And it shifts just even your mental perspective of like, oh wow, like my life isn't based upon this, or I need this to make me better. Like God has already given me this much, and Christ is sufficient, right? Like, I think some of that's just really powerful and helpful.
Yeah, and I mean, there's plenty of scripture. I mean, we could probably spend 30 minutes going through all the scripture that points us towards gratitude and thankfulness. But, I mean, probably the best thing to ask God for, if you're struggling with gratitude and thankfulness as a whole, probably the best thing to ask God for is just peace.
Yeah.
Give me peace about where I'm at. Natalie and I, so we filed taxes a little bit late this year, later than we normally would, and so we didn't see the stimulus check, and like we were starting to freak out because
I'm going to pause you for a second. What was more frustrating, not getting your FTC books or the check?
Okay,
Because there was
T4G
T4G
books. Yeah, no, the T4G books were free. Well, so was the stimulus check. But the stimulus check, that was a little bit more weight in the game.
Fair enough.
So, but I mean, like we were like, man, what's going to happen here, and then it got mailed over this past weekend. So, but I mean, just just saying, God, okay, I know we've got some things that we need to meet financially here, but give us peace about it. And of course, everything worked out. But I think that's the easiest way to be thankful and have gratitude. And where you're at is to just ask God for the peace to.
I agree. If you are struggling with bitterness or anger or whatever, and just life's unfair, to your point, yeah, it's you see it in the Old Testament too. Why did God constantly tell them, "I'm the God of Abraham, the God of Jacob"? It's because it's like, look where I brought you from. Right? When they gave into that bitterness, they were always looking back, like, we don't have this now, and it's like, guys,
right.
Pay attention to where you are now, where you're being delivered. So it's kind of like what you were saying about the wisdom to give to the graduating seniors, like as part of that, being in the moment, being present, like also realizing, wow, look where God has you now.
Yeah. And
celebrate that.
Yeah. And the Israelites never did that.
No.
I mean, that's why they wandered for 40 years. And, they never were just content and thankful for where they were at and what they were given. They were always, well, let's melt some gold and make a calf and being dumb.
My favorite thing is Aaron was like, I just threw it in and it came out as a cow.
yeah.
There's humor in the Old Testament. You should really appreciate it. All right, so we are going to go to our giveaway. So we are going to ask you one last time. You can like, comment, and as well as coffee things that you can make fun of me for, since I am sans coffee for the next few days. So we have plugged them in. Pastor Reagan, are we doing the wheel of giveaway again?
Yes.
This is exciting.
And we have weighted the wheel so that I win, right? Oh no, okay.
No. These are amazing graphics. I feel like, what 80s game show would this? I don't feel like this is like. Is this like Price is Right, where you're just like spinning the wheel? The showcase showdown. No, that's the end.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit like Wheel of Fortune.
It's got some of that.
I don't know.
It's got more like the press your luck kind of vibe.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Look, we're gonna be on the screen here. Oh yeah, there we go.
Hey! And we just made it worse. It was prettier before. So, who is on our wheel today, Mr. Reagan?
We have, they can't hear me. Marcia Place.
Marcia
Place.
Daryl Roundtree.
Daryl.
Barb Frank.
Barb.
Lindsay
Lindsay.
Murphy. We are
Hey! Hi, Mom.
Oh.
Thanks for watching.
Staff moms can't win. No, I'm just kidding. She can have the book. It's fine.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Who was after Mom? Oh, hey, Amanda. All right, so we are going to spin the wheel. Spin away.
It's so long. It's so suspenseful.
Hey, Daryl. We love you, sir.
Hey, pray for Daryl. He's
Yeah.
not feeling the best.
He unfortunately had a pretty
Took a
bad
tumble.
off a ladder.
Yeah.
He is in rehab right now, getting all bandaged up and fixed. He's a tough Marine.
Yeah.
So we're glad that he is getting through this and bearing down. Thank you, sir. We're going to give this to you. This will hopefully brighten your day, give you something to look through.
There's some really cool pictures in here, Daryl.
Yeah.
Be a good read.
He's a photography nut, so that'll be really good.
Yeah.
All right, so that is the morning show. Next week, we're going to have some more table talk with Pastor Chad, Pastor Reagan, and Pastor Dave. I may or may not be here. We'll find out. Our special guest will be, who is our special guest? Oh, Joel, sorry. Completely losing it. Joel Littlefield from our church planning partner in Bath, Maine of New City Church. Well, it'll be really exciting to check in with him, see how things are going, and find out how my favorite store, LL Bean, is doing a few short miles away from him.
You know, I was thinking maybe you should just take Excedrin migraine even if you don't have a headache for the caffeine.
That's cheating. That's cheating. I wish. But I will stay strong. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.